Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the sports show with no name. I'm Chad. That's the top of Ben's head. I don't know what's going on over there. I thought you were asleep, buddy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Um,
Much.
yeah, not much is going on. It's been a weird day. I'm having a really weird day. My computer's acting crazy. Um, I suppose that's okay. We'll figure it out. But yeah, if I get kicked off of here, Ben, just know that I'll be back shortly.
Okay.
As that keeps happening today, but oh, where are we? Ben, do you have anything good's been going on? I mean, it's been a couple weeks since we've been able to do a show. We were on vacation last week. That's why I wasn't here. Took the kids on a little fall vacation. So
Nothing much really. Just working, watching sports as always.
yeah. There've been some really good games though. We're going to talk about a couple, or at least one of them, on the show today because that USC Michigan game was pretty good from last weekend. I got to give Michigan credit. They found a way to win. It wasn't pretty,
Yeah.
but I mean, they picked up a W. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. The Buckeyes, probably a little prettier than the Michigan USC game, but still, I don't know if you can say they struggled when they won 49-14, but I think sometimes we perceive struggles, right?
Yeah.
We watch a team and we go, well, what the heck? They played Marshall and they didn't win 86 to -5. Why? Why did that happen? And we'll talk about that a little bit later on because I have something for that too. I'm tired of it's just like the hyper criticism of it's wild. It gets out of hand. We're going to start off, I guess, a quick headline. Just wanted to congratulate head coach Cole Carter, the Brunswick Blue Devils. The football team picked up their first win, his first win of his Brunswick career over, Ben, I mean, bitter, heated rival, Medina Battling Bees, right? Last Thursday, not Friday.
Yep.
Thursday night, they beat Medina. 27-21 was the head score. Both those teams, or head was the head score. Wow, was the final score. I told you it's a weird day. Both those teams sit at 1-4 now, and we talked about it. I mean, despite the little bit of a slower start for Brunswick, I mean, trying to install a new everything, right? You look at the schedule, and maybe 4-6, 5-5 are really possible. I mean,
and
right?
just like the coaches said too, like if a couple of things go their way in a couple other games, they could be 3-2 right now.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Like
for sure. I mean, they had a couple bad breaks. I mean, the night I was there, when they had a couple of bad things happen, and it's like if that goes the other way, then
you lose by 7 to Brea Mid Park on a walk-off touchdown, literally last-second touchdown. You lose by 7, and then you lose by 3 to Cleveland Heights.
Yeah,
like
winnable games.
You literally lost the Cleveland Heights game on a punt that went straight in the air, came down and hit your dude in the side of the head.
Yeah.
Like if a couple things go your way, Brunswick's sitting at 3-2 right now.
Yeah, that happens. We had graphic pop up there. That was fun.
I'm happy. I'm happy for him, man. He's been working his tail off, and the fact that he finally got one against Medina at home.
Yeah. That's a good one to get, right? That's a good one to get. Like if you're gonna pick up the first win, that's a great spot to pick up the first win.
And on television too.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was incredible. The whole atmosphere was incredible.
Really cool. Really cool. Glad they picked up the W. Like I said, they're 1-4. But don't let that, it sounds like a slow start, but I mean they can get this thing turned around. 4-6, 5-5 is good enough to make the playoffs, right?
For sure.
With the expanded playoffs, Division I, a little bit smaller of a region size, like they can surely sneak in at 4-6 or 5-5. So I'm hoping to get out to another game this year soon. Season's halfway over already. That's crazy. I mean, it feels like it just started, and the high school football season is literally halfway over. Regular season anyway. So yeah, I'm hoping to get out to another game, but let's just obviously hope the best for them. And
for those of you watching, Brunswick's next home game is October 4th.
There you go.
If anybody.
There you go. I may be there. Who knows?
Not this Friday, next Friday, but
there you go. Yeah, I saw they had an away game. Who did they play this Friday? They play
like Euclid. Pretty sure it's Euclid.
Was it Euclid or Shaker Heights or Cleveland Heights?
It's either Euclid or Shaker.
Shaker Heights. They're headed to Shaker Heights this Friday. I had to look it up real quick. This Friday night. They're back on Friday now. Back on the Friday night. So normal schedule.
Who is the best? Shaker Heights is the best defensive back in the country. Trey McNutt.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you've heard what he did for the state of Ohio for 7-on-7s.
No.
He basically went at. Well, I don't know how much I can say, but let's just say he went at OHSAA.
Okay.
And basically said, if I can't play in these 7-on-7s, he goes, I'm just going to transfer out and play anyways.
Okay. There's a lot of rule
Committed
pushing
to Oregon.
lately. Yeah.
Committed to Oregon.
Is that a big loss for Ohio State? I mean, you think that's
No,
why does a guy like that go to Oregon? Is it the money? Is it the NIL money, or is it the appeal of
probably.
55 different uniforms, or what is it? I mean, what do you?
Probably the appeal. I don't know. Probably NIL money, and also probably I don't know if you've seen, but dude, the gear they get, the gear Oregon athletes get
Yeah,
is they get free Nike stuff galore because
yeah. It's nice to have Phil Knight in your pocket. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
right. But I mean, you go to Ohio State and you've got LeBron in your pocket. I mean, you've got there's gear
yeah,
there. I mean, there's plenty of gear to be had. I see
there
guys
is.
end up with shoes and headphones and all kinds of stuff. That's fine. But yeah, like you said, Brunswick will take on Shaker Heights this Friday night. They're back on Friday. But congratulations to head coach Cole Carter on his first win with the Blue Devils. Really happy to see that. Really happy to see them get the W there. And I want to move on. Speaking of getting W's and clinching things, right? We want to talk about the Guardians. We got to talk about the Guardians because they're 91-67. They didn't play today, did they? Did they play a day game today?
Yeah, they play the Reds today, I think.
Are they on? Yeah, there's a lot of day games at the end of the season.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know what's currently going on. I don't have a score anywhere in front of me on that game. But as of press time, that sounds official, right? As of press time, the Guardians were 91-67. Clinched the AL Central, right? It's great. And they also clinched home field advantage in the ALDS. So by doing that, another thing they've clinched is 5 days off between the regular season and when their postseason starts, right? Hasn't really been a great recipe for teams lately. Ben, does that concern you at all with the Guardians, them having the 5 days off?
No, and the reason why is because if they're gonna make a run, they need Stephen Kwan.
Okay.
And
I'm still here. Don't worry. I'm still here.
oh,
I was
if
just
they're
letting
gonna
you
make
talk.
no, if they're gonna make a run, they need Stephen Kwan. And with him being on the 10-day IL, I think that rest at the end of the season, the 4-year series, I think that could, even if he comes back and he's not 100%, right? That rest could,
Yeah,
that rest could let him, get near 100%. But I think what's going to help this Guardians team make a run, if they make a run, is the bullpen.
yeah,
Like I told my dad, I said, all you need your starters to do is go 5 innings. With the amount
yeah.
this bullpen's been able to pitch and pitch consistently and pitch well, if your starter can give you 5 innings, you can bring in somebody else in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning
Yeah.
and be just fine. And the thing is our bullpen's so good, it never has to be the same 4 guys like it was in 2016. Like
Right.
in 2016, you knew you were getting Brian Shaw, Andrew Miller, Cody Allen. You knew you were
Yeah.
getting those 3 out of the bullpen.
Yep.
But this year, you got Eli Morgan, you got Nick Salen, you got Tim Herron, you got all these guys out of the bullpen, and you're like, okay, teams aren't going to know what we're going to throw at them.
They've been amazing. I mean, listen, they might be. It's probably, I would say. I don't know if you can see the comments, Ben, but Lucas Brown said, "Hi, Coach Ben." Hey, Lucas, how you doing? You didn't say hi to me, but you said hi to Ben. Then say hi to Lucas.
What's up, Lucas?
That's Coach Ben. Yeah, I think. Are they the best bullpen? Listen, I know Andrew Miller was great. That run was phenomenal. Okay. This might be the best Guardians bullpen, the best Cleveland bullpen we've seen.
I think
maybe in a really long time. It might be the best bullpen we've seen in baseball in a long time, Ben. They're really good.
I think it's the best all-around bullpen Cleveland's ever had.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like the parts are interchangeable. Like you said, it doesn't have to be the same, or it doesn't, like the same guys don't have to go. Obviously, Clase is the closer. We know that.
Yeah.
But short of that, I mean, you can guys are interchangeable, right? They're pretty comfortable throwing in any situation. The numbers are phenomenal. They're first in baseball in pretty much everything. I mean,
and I think it was Pedro Martinez said it too. He said, somebody asked him, like, do you think Clase deserves the Cy Young? He goes, yes. Yeah. He goes, because Clase isn't one of those baby closers. He's like, he's going to go out there and he wants the ball. He's like, he doesn't only go out there for save situations.
Yeah.
He's like, he goes out there and say it's a 4-run game, right? With the middle of the order coming up. He goes out there because he doesn't want that to become a safe situation. He has to come in with runners on.
Guy's a competitor. I mean, he's just, he's eating people up this year. It's unreal.
Clase pitched 71 games. When's the last time a closer pitched 71 games?
I'd have to look, but I mean, I would imagine it's been a really long time.
Like,
I
you look at
mean,
most closers, right? They have like 55,
yeah.
56 appearances with like
I was gonna say 50 to
42,
60
43.
feels like the
Yeah.
range. Yeah, that feels like
With
the
like
range.
with like 40 to 45 saves.
Yeah,
You look
right.
at Clase, he's got 71. Dude, he has 46 saves and he's only blown 3 saves. He has
Hey,
8 walks on the year. Like,
yeah. The
he's
whole
not
bullpen has
walking
been
people.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't say enough about the bullpen. The starters, listen. Okay, I'm gonna run you. I'll run you through some starters in a minute. The starting pitching is a concern, I think.
it is. It is.
But before we talk about the starting pitching, how much credit goes to Stephen Vogt for this?
I think a lot
Yeah,
because I think he very easily could have came in and said, "We need a starter at the deadline.
yeah,
Let's go get a star, like an all-star starter at the deadline."
yeah.
And instead he said, "Nope, we're gonna stick with it. We're gonna ride it out." He goes, "I trust my bullpen." He goes, "I trust my guys." And it seems to be working. I was joking with a buddy, and I said, "I think the Guardians every game should just start 9 different should just throw their entire bullpen. Forget the starters, just or pitch the starter for the first inning and then just 1 inning
Hey,
each the rest of the postseason."
listen, Detroit got really hot all of a sudden. Like they went with bullpen games, and all of a sudden
Well,
that it kind of sounded like a little formula, and they got hot.
they benched Javi Baez. That's why.
Yeah, well, that's a big man. I mean, he's an absolute
Dude,
hole in the
I'm
lineup.
not
I don't know what
kidding.
happened to him.
I'm not kidding. They benched Javi Baez and they became the best team in baseball.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
he's a
Baez might
literal albatross in the lineup. He can't. I
yeah.
mean, he's a sure out. I mean,
Dude, he went from being one of the best players in baseball to being
his
like
phantom
below average
tags,
hitter.
his phantom tags turned into phantom swings really quickly. I don't know what
They
happened,
did.
but
They
I don't
did.
know. He's
It's
no look swinging, I guess. Okay, so let's fast forward to October 5th. Okay, um, that is going to be, I think, the first day, October 5th. I didn't mean this. Yeah, it is October 5th, isn't it? Wow,
yeah,
that's the
that's
end
the
of
first
September. Wow.
yeah,
Hey, listen, they
yeah.
say when you get older, it starts going faster, right? Like 2 weeks just fast forwarded away on me. Woo, that was scary. Okay, anyway, October 5th. That's gonna be the first day the Guardians play. I think we all know Tanner Bybee's starting that game. I don't think there's any doubt who your ace is. I don't know who. Okay, let me give you some names, and I'll read off some numbers. And let me just, who do you want in game 2, game 3? I would imagine they go with the 4-man rotation, right, for the playoffs. When you think?
I feel like you have to.
I feel like it's probably the best thing to do, especially with your starters only having to go 5 innings. You shorten that a little bit. Anyway, so Tanner Bybee is going to start game 1. We know that. Here are the candidates for games 2, 3, and 4. And this is where it gets really, I don't want to say dicey, but this is where it gets dicey. Okay. Gavin Williams, 3-10, 4.86 ERA, 79 strikeouts on the year. Doesn't scream overpowering. Ben Lively is 13-9. He's won some games, 3.80 ERA. That's fine. Struck out 114 batters. Again, not overpowering, not necessarily like the power pitching that you want. Man, they really wish they had Shane Bieber, don't they? Alex Cobb was 2-1, limited time, 2.76 ERA. You got Matthew Boyd down here, Joey Canty. Like, who's going to start these games? Who do you think is game 2? Is it Lively? Is it Williams? Some people think Lively might get left off the roster for the ALDS. I don't know.
I don't think you can keep Lively off the roster. He's been one of your best pitchers.
Yeah.
I think what I think happens is I think you need a lefty in your rotation.
Okay.
And it's not going to be
as a lefty. I agree with that. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's not going to be Joey Cantillo because he's a rookie.
Yeah, probably not.
So that leaves you with Matthew Boyd. So I think
then,
your 4th start.
Do you want to leave? What if he has to start a game 4 or 5?
But
Lucas says the Guards are winning it all this year. We hope so. I don't think my Braves are going to make the playoffs. So hey, I'll root for the Guardians.
Here's what I'm saying. If you're the quote unquote ace going into the postseason, right? You're going to want the ball every games 1, 4, and 7. Every ace does. So if you're Bybee, right, you're going to want the ball games 1, 4, and 7.
Yep. I wanted it 1, 3, and 6 when
but
I don't need the rest. Give me the ball, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if you need a spot starter in that other game, yeah, you can throw one of them out there. But we saw it with the Guardians. It lost its series against New York 2 years ago. We threw an injured Aaron Savale in game 5.
Yeah.
And it hurt us.
Yep.
And I think here's the thing though. I think if you do start one of those guys, if it gets bad ugly, you have to go to the bullpen as quick as possible. That's where
Okay.
Francona lost that game with Savali. He left Savali in through 4 innings, and it hurt us.
But you know, as a manager, you also sit there and you gotta want to tax my bullpen. I mean, in a short series, man, I
Yeah.
can't have 3 guys not able to go tomorrow, right? Like, that's
But
tough, man. That's tough.
but at the same time, though, the Guardians have so many guys in their bullpens that used to be starters,
Yeah,
like Hunter
yeah,
Gaddis, Eli Morgan. Like,
yeah,
you could turn to one of those guys and say, "Hey, I need 3 innings from you."
for
Or
sure.
Pedro Avila. We've seen him. He's thrown 4 innings on multiple different occasions. "Hey, I need
Yeah.
3, 4 innings from you."
And I was gonna say, I think that's kind of the reason that they've had the success that they've had. I think they're like all those guys kind of have the mindset of a spot starter. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm not the 7th inning guy. I'm not the 8th inning guy. I'm the when we get in trouble and you fit guy, you go in there, right? Like that's me.
Yep.
That's my job. And everybody kind of has that mindset. It's like a blue collar. I mean, it's Cleveland, man. It's Cleveland through and through. It's the blue collar attitude, the blue collar
Dude,
mindset. Like they get their lunch pails and they go to work, man. And
I
they're
just
really good. They're really
I
good.
just if it happens, I just can't wait to see the reaction from Jose Ramirez if we win it all, man.
Oh man,
He
I know.
Dude, he signed he literally took a hometown discount because he wanted to win one with Cleveland. If it
Yeah.
happens this year, we win it all, dude, that's good. His reaction
Yeah.
is gonna be incredible.
That's a guy. Listen, it's really easy to be happy for a guy like Jose Ramirez. I mean, I was going to say the offense is a little shaky as well.
It is.
But listen, anything can happen. You've got Jose Ramirez in the middle of your lineup. Anything can happen. If they get Quan back and he's hitting, and by the way, I wanted to mention he's on the IL for what they listed as body fatigue. That's probably just like a sore back or something, right? Like
No,
when
I
they first put him
actually
on the IL, they said middle back. They said he was like middle back soreness or whatever.
I've I asked I don't know if it was my uncle or an athletic trainer at some point. I
Okay.
asked him what body fatigue was because I'd heard that before for baseball.
Yeah.
And they said it's literally where you wake up and your whole body is like tight. Like it feels like your whole body is hurt.
Okay.
So I think it's just like how hard he's been playing and how well he was playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys. Listen, I don't know,
But we
body
need him.
fatigue.
We need him. We need him to hit like he was at the beginning of the year if we win any shot.
Yeah, yeah, he's
If
got
he
to be
comes
there
back,
in game one. He's got to be there.
yeah.
And
If
yeah, is he going to get any regular season time or no? Is he?
I don't think so. I think he's just gonna
No.
get thrown straight into the playoffs.
Okay. Okay.
Sink or swim, kid.
Hey, and he's a professional. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But you do worry. I worry because I've seen the Braves go through this. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the layoff or not. I have no idea. It seems to. But you've played baseball enough, Ben. You know that when you're going and you're hot at the plate, you don't want days off, right? Like when it looks like rain, you're like, no, 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 no. Like, please, you don't want to take those days off, right? You want to hit every day because that's what it takes in baseball sometimes
Yeah.
to keep your timing. And that 5 days off, you can't help it. You can't simulate the pace and the intensity of a playoff game in practice. You can't have,
No.
25, 26 guys out there doing an inter squad game or whatever and make it feel real. You just can't do it. So I do worry a little bit about the offense and about how crisp and how sharp they're going to be. But I think it all depends on who they play as well. And we'll talk about that once the matchups
I
get
do
set
as
up.
well. But
Yeah.
so something I wanted to say is I think
Yeah.
what makes this Guardians lineup so dangerous is you've seen guys getting hot in the month of September.
Yeah.
Like you said, those 5 days off,
Mhm.
it could either be a blessing in disguise or it's going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to Cleveland this year. Because
Yeah.
you got guys like Kyle Manzardo, who in the month of September he's hitting 329 with 7 homers
Yeah.
and over 20 RBIs. You got Lane Thomas, who in the month of September is hitting 288 with 7 homers and over 20 RBIs.
Yeah.
Like you got and obviously, like you said, then you got Josh Naylor, you got Jose in the middle of the order.
Yeah.
You got some of these guys that, like, you got so many different guys that can get hot and hurt you. That it's like if you're not careful, this Guardians team could make a run. Like it could be
Yeah.
like
And
that
don't
2020 Braves
underestimate.
team.
Listen. Yeah. Underestimate this team at your own peril. I mean, they're a strong team. Just because you may look at the lineup and not recognize the names, Cleveland's never gotten a lot of national press, right?
No.
It doesn't matter.
This
Don't
team,
underestimate them.
I told people at the beginning of the year, this team reminds me of that Braves team that everybody counted out, weren't expecting to make the playoffs, got hot at the end of the year, won it all. Like
Yeah.
they got hot because they went out and they signed all those outfielders and they were big in
Yeah.
the postseason.
Yeah.
And the Guardians, yeah, they might not have as much veteran presence hitting wise in the postseason, but you've got
Yeah.
that young talent that has been explosive.
Sure. And you've got a lot of guys that play with a lot of emotion. And I think that's important in the playoffs too.
Yep.
I mean, That's really important in the playoffs. You know,
It
it's
is.
I think that's important anyway. When we find out the matchups, we're really close. I mean, there's just a few games left. We'll do our maybe next week on the show. We'll do our predictions, our picks for the first round, and things like that.
Yeah, we can.
And we'll go all the way through the World Series. We'll pick through the World Series like we do every year, or at least like we used to on Come On Ref. We'll do that on this show as well, and we'll see how close I get. I got pretty close last year. I said the Rangers would beat the Phillies, and the Rangers ended up beating the Diamondbacks in 7. I was really close. I was pretty close.
Dude, that's something that is mind-boggling. Is the Rangers win it all, and now they don't even make the postseason.
Well, they lost a lot. I mean, a lot of pitch,
They-
and sometimes there's a letdown. I mean, there's just
Dude.
there's almost like, okay, you exhale, right? It's like we did this, and then you look up and you're 50, 60 games into next year, and you're 8 games out of first, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say they're not professional, they didn't handle it the right way, but I think there's just a little bit of a exhale period, especially for the Rangers. Like you win the first one in franchise's history, it's a big deal. And it kind of feels like, okay, finally.
This will be the 23rd straight year with a different World Series champion.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. No back-to-back.
Hopefully,
yeah, you're right.
Hopefully at the end it's just Cleveland Guardians.
I'd love that. I would love that. I've been rooting for the Guardians to win one, honestly, since 1995, since they lost to my Braves. I've been like, hey, they'll be back, you know? And they were back, and they were back in 1997, and they should have won that World Series, and they probably would have won in 2007 if they had beaten the Red Sox, because the Rockies were dog water by the time they got to the World Series. Remember, they went on that big run. They won like 20 out of 22 games to get into the playoffs, and I think it took everything out of the Rockies. The Red Sox just swept them. I mean, they blew them out of the building.
And then we're not even to mention 2016.
Yeah, that was disappointing. They could have won that one too.
I don't know what happened there. I wasn't the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I think the Cubs just scored more runs than Cleveland did in more games. I think that's how they won that series. That's an expert breakdown for you, by the way.
ESPN needs to hire you.
You can't get that anywhere else. Where else are you gonna get that?
Right.
That's insider information. Sorry. It's math. No one else can do that. So anyway, let's move on because it's getting out of hand. College football. We got to talk about the Buckeyes, right? I mean, they're 3-0, right? They look formidable, I guess. They haven't played anybody yet. That's fine. It kind of gets old. Like the argument that I keep seeing online is like, oh, the Buckeyes are soft because they haven't played anyone. They don't make their own schedule. It's not like,
yeah.
I truly believe that a lot of people just don't understand how it works. Okay. I think like, especially Michigan fans seem to think that like Ohio State lines up all their players before the season starts. So like, okay, week 1, who you guys think? Like Alabama? No. You want to play Texas? No. Okay, well, we got Akron. Yeah, Akron, dude, get Akron in here. Like that's not how it works, man. Like
no, these schedules are made.
Yeah, they had Washington scheduled for this year. That would have been the out of conference, and that wouldn't have been good enough because Washington's kind of fallen off a little bit. But I mean, listen, they were in the national championship game a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that not good enough for you? Like they had Washington scheduled on a home and home, but obviously Washington moving to the Big Ten means you can't play Washington out of conference anymore. So that went by the wayside. And guess what? At the last minute, these schedules are made a decade in advance. 10 years ago, they made all these schedules, okay? Teams like Alabama and Texas and Oklahoma and, I almost said Florida State. They're not a top team. Teams like this aren't available at this point, right? It's teams that are looking for money. They're looking for, a payout. Give us a payout. We'll come play you. So you have no choice. You can't help but schedule, Akron, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, and doesn't matter. Marshall, those are the teams that you're stuck with when a team has to back out. No one got scared to play. I've seen that too. Like Ohio State backed out against Washington. No, they didn't back out. They're in the conference.
Like Wake Forest against Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean it's just come on.
Did you hear the Lane Kiffin clip about that?
A little bit. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
It was the one talking about like he was talking about like, oh, do these non-conference games prepare you for the SEC? And he's like, no. He's like, the practice we do in like the spring and the fall is what prepares us for these SEC games. He's like, because you're not playing SEC teams until you get to conference play. He's like, but when you're practicing against each other, he's like that's SEC against SEC. Like you're
people blame the players for their schedule. That drives me insane. Like that doesn't even make sense.
Blame the athletic director.
Yeah, and just honestly blame conference realignment. I mean, like I said, they had Washington on the schedule. Obviously, you can't play an in-conference team out of conference, so calm
Wait, you
down
can't?
about the schedule. The players don't make the schedule. It's not their fault. It's not Ryan Day's fault. Ryan Day's not. Just stop, okay? Anyway, Ohio State beats Marshall 49-14. Social media explodes with how the defense is hot garbage. They're never gonna. They've given up 20 points in 3 games, Ben, but they're garbage.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
terrible.
we gotta fire everybody. Even though they've gone from like the 100th best defense to like a top 5 defense in 3 years, still have to fire everybody. Again, calm down. I thought the offense looked pretty good, didn't you, against Marshall? I thought they
I
looked all
did,
right.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
running game looked good.
Yeah, Chip Kelly's in his bag, man. I see him like just using motion to like get these like numbers matchups and like where they have the advantage on it. It's pretty. It's simple, but it's like it's brilliant. You know what I mean? And the execution looks better. I don't know if it's just. I don't know. It's like the difference between like Ryan Day's communication of the offense to Chip Kelly's communication of the offense.
Yeah.
What's the difference? You know what I mean? But yeah, Chip Kelly seems to have this offense kind of looking fine-tuned, right? I mean,
we have the 2 best running backs in the country, and it's not even close.
No.
If
And
you're
that's
not running the
insane.
ball, if each one of them isn't getting 10 plus carries a game,
Well,
Chip Kelly's called a terrible game.
and obviously against Marshall, you didn't need it, but yeah, Travion Henderson got 76 yards and 2 touchdowns and only 6 carries. I mean, then you had Quinshon Judkins, he went 14 carries for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Listen, both of those guys averaging over 12 yards is not a bad thing. All right, let's stop 12 yards a carry. That's an easy first down every time you give these guys the ball. But people still want to complain because we didn't put up 80 points on Mark. We didn't need to put up 80 points. It drives me nuts. Anyway, Howard played well. Will Howard, I thought he was 16 of 20 for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. He threw the pick, whatever. Left a one-on-one ball a little short to Jeremiah Smith. It happens. It looked like it was going to be a bigger deal at the time because the score was close earlier on. But I think, give Marshall credit. They kind of went away from, I think Ohio State had seen a lot of film on Marshall. They're more of an air raid offense. And Marshall kind of came out and they were doing like the quick passing. They were kind of like dinking and dunking all over the field.
They were running the ball too, a little bit.
Yeah, they ran the ball pretty well. Listen, Ohio State didn't expect that at all.
No.
So when you go, you can't stop the run. Well, you didn't like really scheme for the run this week.
Yeah.
So you're like, you see him run the ball a few times. You're like, okay, I guess we'll put an extra guy in the box and we'll slow it down. We'll stop it. But I've heard a lot about the pass rush struggling, and maybe it's true, but listen, we haven't needed a lot of pass rush, right? Like we haven't really needed to get to the quarterback in the first 3 games. It's mostly, I think, just trying not to put too much on film right now and just going out and getting by with what you can.
When you have some of the best defensive backs in the country.
Yeah.
I mean,
let them cook back there. Yeah. They're not going to get out run. Like, let them cook.
Yeah.
And you have the best safety in the country. I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a lot of rotation on the defensive line. And I think part of that is to keep guys fresh because you could have a 16-game season now. And I also think a lot of it is just to kind of see what you've got because you're playing, Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall. And they just want to see like who you've got on that depth chart. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It's who can.
So I saw this question and I wanted to ask it to you as well.
Okay.
Do you think a quote unquote NFL style season would work in college? Like you play each, it's like you'd have your conferences, right? Mm-hmm. It's like we'd play Michigan home and away. We'd play, like you could still do it like where you play like the teams from the other conference like every other year. But like you'd play Michigan every year home and away. You'd play Michigan State every year home and away. You'd play Penn State every year home and away.
No, I don't think it would work in college because it takes some of the allure away of what college is. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw something in pros and I was like, it could work, but you'd have to go back to you'd have to do what the NFL does, and you'd have to do conferences.
Yeah,
you'd have to
you'd almost have to go no out of conference games because who would you? You only have 12 games. I mean, you're not going to move it up to 14 probably and play. And that's not even half the Big Ten.
Yeah.
If they played 14 conference games, 7 teams twice, that's not even half the conference.
No.
It's wild.
But like I saw some saying, like I was like, I understand where they're coming from because like you go from college playing one team once to the NFL where you play each team home and away, and I was like, I get where they're coming from, but like you said,
yeah,
I don't think it works in college.
I don't think it would. I think it's too much. It's too. logistically, it's a nightmare because college
Yeah.
depends on the matchups, right? Like, and if you've got 2 Ohio State Michigan games in a year, who cares? Like, we'll just go catch the one in Ann Arbor. Like, we're not going to go down to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's like this whole throng of fans coming. Like, you need that kind of. I think that
Yeah. No, I agree.
that
I agree.
exclusivity, I think, is what makes it so special.
I agree. I just saw it and I was like, that's a good question.
Yeah, no,
But
it's a question worth posing, worth thinking about. I
yeah.
personally, my opinion is I don't love it. That's all.
No, I agree. And I
No
think
big
like you
deal.
said, I think it's just because those schools make so much money off those big rivalry games. If you're playing it twice a year, it,
Yeah.
it, it just takes the fun out of it. Like,
Yeah, and listen, a lot of people think it does that if you do it like if Ohio State plays Michigan in the last week of the season like normal, Saturday after Thanksgiving, right? They play there, and then if they play again in the Big Ten championship, some people think that waters it down. I think it does the exact opposite, right?
oh,
Like
me too.
that's totally different. Now it's like there's a rematch. Like
Yeah.
that would be amazing if that's what
And
happens, right?
and like now with the 12 team playoff, with the possibility of playing 3 times, I told somebody, I
Yeah,
said, could you imagine, right? Like, say we lose to Michigan this year, right?
yeah,
And we're still 1-2 in the conference. Okay, you say somehow Michigan, makes it to the conference championship game, right? Say
sure,
they beat us in the final week,
yeah,
and then we go to the Big Ten championship game and we beat them.
yeah,
The series is tied 1-1. You
right,
play again in the college football playoffs. You're playing a third match for winner takes all, best of 3 series. Like,
yeah.
who wouldn't want? Like, that would be a blast.
Yeah,
I mean,
listen, playing
I
multiple
don't know if
times
my
is
heart can.
fine, but the stakes have to ramp up each time, right? It
Yeah,
can't be
I
2
don't know if
regular
my
season
heart can
games.
take it,
Yeah,
but I don't know if my heart can take it. But 3 times would be fun.
man,
I might throw some on my TV.
it'd be interesting for sure. It'd be interesting to see it. Well, listen, I mean, we'll find out a little bit more about Ohio State this weekend. They play Michigan State. They start their conference play.
OH.
The OHIO. We know how to spell Ohio. It takes 2 of us, but we can figure it out. We'll figure it out. It's fine. We got it. We'll be all right. Yeah, they play. Well, now it's a night game in
It
East
is.
Lansing. They changed it to a night game. That's on Peacock, by the way, only. That's streaming on Peacock only. So if you've got Peacock, we can watch that. But if you don't have Peacock, you may want to look for a free trial or whatever. If you need to watch the Buckeyes, that's if you don't want to pay for Peacock, which I understand, like nobody wants to get nickel and dime by 35 different streaming services. It may be worth looking into see if you can get a free trial or something for the weekend to watch Ohio State. But they'll head into East Lansing. They play Michigan State. Michigan State is improved. They're 3-1. They're 1-0 in the Big Ten. They lost to Boston College last Saturday. Last second. Well, looks like a little over a minute. I think it was BC quarterback Thomas Castellanos hit Lewis Bond with a 42-yard touchdown with just over a minute remaining in that one to beat Michigan State. It was their first loss of the year. I don't know. They're doing some things. They look all right. Ohio State's a 24.5-point favorite going into East Lansing, but we'll see. I think it'll be a stiffer test than Akron,
It's
Western Michigan, and Marshall. So it's fine.
Big Ten football. It's
Yeah.
going to be physical. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, I said in Big Ten football, any team can beat any team at any given moment. It's big.
Yep.
That's why the Big Ten is known as one of the best conferences in football.
Yeah. It feels like they're going to go up to East Lansing, by the way. I don't know what the weather report is. I haven't looked at the weather, but it feels like it's going to be one of those games where it's just like a downpour the entire game. Maybe I'm flashing back to the Zeke years or whatever, but
you know who that favors?
That favors Ohio State.
Quinshon Judkins, Kevin Henderson.
Yep.
Go
and
Bucks.
Will Howard. And Will Howard can run the ball now. So you've got 3 guys out of that backfield. You can put James Peoples in there too. James Peoples is averaging like 6 or 7 yards a carry for the second team. So
I said I think Ohio State. Do you see they ran like that wing T style offense from like the goal line? Yeah. I saw somebody say that Ohio State should implement this more, but with all 3 running backs, like you said. You bring in Will Howard, you put Judkins, Peoples, and Henderson behind him, and you basically run like the wishbone triple option.
And you've got 3 guys that you can use as a tailback. You've got 3 guys that can use as a fullback. I
was like, I saw that. I was like, that could be really, really good.
Listen, Ben, speaking of wing T and jumbo packages, and Michigan found a way to beat USC on Saturday. They won. They pulled it out 27-24, right? What is there to say about this game? It was a good game. Listen, honestly, it was the best game of the weekend that I watched. It was a back and forth battle, but it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been. It just shouldn't have been. USC should have won this game. They should have won the game handily.
Mm-hmm.
They got to work on. Lincoln Riley has to bring somebody in that can teach these guys how to tackle. They got to tackle people.
I agree.
That's it. I mean, if they wrap up and tackle and get people on the ground at first contact, they win this game by 2 scores, and it's not close.
Yeah, and the fact that you couldn't force Michigan to throw the football.
Oh my gosh. They're going to have to throw, right?
Dude, Michigan's quarterback was Alex Orji was 7 of 12 for 32 yards.
I know. And people, they didn't even run. He ran 13 times for 43 yards. It wasn't even like he was really a dynamic part of the offense, but he didn't make any mistakes.
No.
You got to give him credit there. He went out and got a W, right? I mean, that's the main thing to win. I just don't think they can sustain that going forward. Like, I don't think you can play against a team like Ohio State and run the ball 65 times and have any kind of success.
No. Especially without counter stallions.
Yeah, right. Without knowing exactly what's coming. I thought it was interesting that we talked about tackling, and tackling really did USC in, especially on the last drive. Michigan won the game on a 10-play, 89-yard drive that was capped off, a 4th and goal, right, from the 2. Kyle Mullings, man, out of the jumbo package that, listen, if things maybe had gone a little bit better at the end of Jim Harbaugh's tenure there, maybe we'd be calling this the Jimbo package by now, right? But we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jumbo package, Michigan loves to do that, man. Put 8, 9 guys, or not 9, but put 8 guys up on the offensive line and, get all the tight ends out there. I mean, everybody on the roster, it seemed like every tight end on the roster was on the field at one point. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, they scored that touchdown with 37 seconds left, and then USC just couldn't do anything. It just felt like they missed multiple chances to win the game. I feel like Lincoln Riley has to be watching the film of this one, kicking himself, because, like I said, if they just get guys on the ground, they win the game easily. I mean,
yeah, no, I feel you.
But I don't know. Yeah, like you said, Orji was 7 of 12 for 32 yards. I think the big play in this one, Will Johnson had a pick 6 in the 3rd quarter that really kind of sealed the game, because Michigan's defense is still good. They're still a really good defensive squad.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to have a couple games where they're on the field so much because the offense is so bad that they're too tired to do anything.
It'll be interesting to see how they get once they get deeper into Big Ten play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're 3-1 overall with the loss to Texas. They're 1-0 in the conference. They have a conference winning streak of 26 games. It's a school record for them. Did you know that right now? They have a current winning streak in the conference of 26 games. Their last conference loss was actually October 30th, right around Halloween, 2021 at Michigan State. We were talking about Michigan State in the Zeke years. This is when the Michigan State was ranked 8th at the time. And
was that when they had Tuck coming? Is that when they had Mel Tucker?
I don't know. I think that was a little bit before. I think that was a little before Tuck's time. But
that
was his time. That was his time.
Yeah, because that was Kenneth Walker.
No, he was there. You're right. Yeah, they beat the Wolverines 37-33 that day. That's Michigan's last conference loss. So that might have been the day they said they lost to little brother. That's it, man. Who's the Stallions guy? He said he could guarantee wins. Get him in here. Where is he? Let's get him in here. And that might have been the day. Who knows? Anyway, they'll host Minnesota this weekend at noon. They'll be on Fox. Gus Johnson will be on the call in that game, which will.
I love Gus Johnson.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, it'll make it watchable. Gus Johnson being on the call, it'll make that game watchable. Because I don't want to watch Minnesota and Michigan play. I really don't.
You don't? Why not?
It's like watching the Browns. Speaking of the Browns, let's move on to the Browns. Let me read my notes. What do I have about the Cleveland Browns? The Browns stink. That's it. They just stink. They're unwatchable, so I mowed my lawn. Sorry. I didn't even watch the game on Sunday. Listen, Ben. They're 1-2. They're probably the worst 1-2 team in the league, right? I just don't have any expectation of them turning this thing around.
Yeah, with the tough schedules that our whole conference has, dude, I don't. I think and here's the thing. I think, is the Browns defense still good enough to get them wins? Yes.
Yeah, but the offense has to do something. They got to do something.
Exactly. And now this is what I was going to say to you. Or this is what I was going to ask you. Myles Garrett is playing with 2 injured feet and an injured knee.
Yeah.
At what point do you just hold him out and say, let's just rest for next season? And I'm not saying this just because I'm a Steelers fan, but if the Browns want to be competitive in the upcoming years, you can't afford to have Myles Garrett play on an injury that affects him for the rest of his career.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know, Ben. There's a lot of hard questions because you and I talked about it a couple of shows ago. We did our season predictions or whatever, And I think we talked about how important it was for the Browns to get off to a fast start because they do have that tough schedule coming up. We talked about how important it was going to be for them to not have this 1-2, 1-3 start, right? Because they're behind the 8 ball already. They've got some really, really tough games coming up. Like somehow they're a 1.5 favorite against the Raiders this weekend. I don't know how. I don't know if I don't
Does
know.
Did Vegas watch football this weekend?
That's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, did they even have they watched the Browns? I mean, I get it. I haven't. They're unwatchable. Maybe they just haven't looked. But here's what I'm looking at. I just really, like I said, I have no expectation the Browns turn this thing around. The Steelers have started hot. They're 3-0.
Go Steelers.
Hey, man, we talked about you just never know with the Steelers. They never know what they're going to do. They're so well coached. But if the Browns finish 6-11 or 7-10, which I think is a very real possibility, almost.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I think they're going to finish. Do you fire Kevin Stefanski?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I know. Listen. Here's why I think you don't.
Okay. I'll say it this way: as a Steelers fan, yes, I want them to.
Okay.
But looking at it from just like an actual NFL sports fan, it's hard to tell because it'd be his. I mean, he's been technically he's been the most successful Browns coach in years. I mean, led the Browns to their first playoff win.
There's not much to compare it against, but yeah, you're right. I mean,
but at the same time, though, how much longer can you let him slide with all this talent and not being successful?
That's the thing. I mean, listen, and that's why the Browns, I don't think they can afford to start over. But listen, they've got $200+ million invested in, I don't know. I would say a quarterback, but it's just that's just a black hole on the roster right now. They're not getting anything out of Deshaun Watson. His accuracy is a concern. His pocket presence is a concern for me. I know the offensive line is bad. I get it. I mean, they're historically banged up and really bad, and I understand that. But I mean, he's looking to run the second he gets the snap.
And I was gonna say, I mean, we've seen, look at that Bengals team that made it to the Super Bowl. Their offensive line was not good. They were terrible.
They just had a quarterback who understood how to, play within the offense and get rid of the ball and get it to a playmaker within enough time.
Yeah. And I want to ask you this. Nick Chubb's on IR. He's eligible to come back week 5. If the Browns are 1-3, do you bring him back?
I don't know. It's another hard question. Just the guys on this team right now: Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, David Njoku. I mean, we saw Joe Flacco unlocked David Njoku last year. Like you said, Nick Chubb. There's all these guys in their prime, and they're being wasted right now. I feel for them. I really do.
And like I told my dad, I said, if you gave Mike Tomlin this Browns roster, they're winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If you gave Andy Reid this roster, they're winning a Super Bowl.
Man. Can you imagine Bill Belichick having this squad?
Dude. Hey, Browns fire Stefanski.
Hey.
Belichick's available.
And if worse comes to worse, Vrabel's right here in Ohio, right?
Right.
Because Ryan Day's not getting fired. Let's get that straight.
Wait, he did? I thought he just did. Kidding.
Exactly. Let's talk about the Browns, okay? Because the Browns offense is clearly holding them back. They're averaging 3.8 yards per play. Somehow it's next to last in the NFL. They're not dead last. Third down conversion rate.
May I ask?
What's that?
Who is?
I didn't look. Look because I didn't want to know. I'm assuming it's going to be Carolina. I did not look, or the Bears, but I didn't look. I'll look that up after the show, though. We'll get that on next week. We'll make sure we know that. I just didn't want to know. Honestly, I didn't want to know.
The Panthers look good with Andy Dalton. Just saying.
So it's Bryce Young.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. CJ Stroud didn't look great against the Vikings last weekend.
But Brian Flores, apparently his schemes are crazy. Brock Purdy said it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can shut down a 49ers offense.
Hey. Some guys know what they're doing, right?
And they got Sam Darnold. He's finally not seeing ghosts anymore. He's actually seeing his players.
Yeah, what's up with that, man?
He's finally seen his players. He finally called Ghostbusters.
Good for him, man. I'm happy for Sam Darnold. It's like the we're it's like the I don't know
The
the
bad news
rise
bears.
of the retreads here. I don't know what we're doing, but anyway, I gotta finish this because this is awful, Ben. This is terrible. The
Yeah,
third
go ahead.
down conversion rate for the Browns, 18.6%. It's dead last in the NFL. Not only that, it is the you ready for this? It's the lowest conversion rate for the Browns through 3 games since they came back in 1999. Think about how truly bad that sentence is. That means we are talking Hugh Jackson, right? 0-16, Johnny Manziel not taking the playbook home, Brandon Whedon getting lost under a flag. Like it's worse than all of that.
Yeah, that's bad. They
Obviously,
better
like you
hope
said,
this offensive line is fixed by the time they play Pittsburgh. Because if it's not, that's a field day.
oh my gosh.
TJ
TJ
Watt might
Watt's
have
gonna have
eight. TJ Watt might
every
have 8
play they
sacks.
pass. Yeah, they're going to drop back for 26 passes, and TJ Watt's going to have TJ Watt. It's going to have 26 sacks. I mean,
He's gonna break the record in one game.
who's going to block him? Poor Dwan Jones, man, with the knee injury or whatever's got him not mobile this year.
Dude,
Oh
that's
my
gonna
gosh,
be a.
man. Good
And if we
night.
have Highsmith back too, and you got Batonio at left tackle, I'm sorry, Batonio's a Hall of Famer.
I
Great.
love Joel Bitonio, but he's a guard. Yeah.
He's a guard. He's
Yeah.
meant to play left guard, not left tackle.
And listen, I give him all the credit in the world for going out and doing it. I mean, listen, somebody's got to go do it, right? And Bitonio's the guy that, hey, I like I said, I love Joel Bitonio. It's not a knock on him. He's just not a left tackle in the NFL. That's okay. It's just, man, it's bad. It's really bad. I don't know. The Steelers are 3-0. Who do they play this weekend, Ben?
The Colts.
I actually knew that.
Then why'd you ask?
Because I'm old and I forget things very easily.
Oh, okay.
It's terrible.
Hey, I'm getting there.
Where am I?
This is my house.
Why are you all looking at me? Anyway, the Browns are a mess.
You said the Browns for the Raiders, didn't you?
Yeah, they'll be in Las Vegas. Like I
speaking
said,
of the
somehow they're a
Raiders-
1.5 favorite. Somehow.
Serious. Did you hear what Antonio Pierce said during his press conference?
No.
So he said some players made some business decisions. He goes, as an organization, we're going to make some business decisions as well. And people thought it was Devontae Adams not jogging into the locker room as halftime happened.
Yeah. Okay.
And apparently that wasn't it. There's a player. He's been known for it too, where he'll go in for a tackle and he just he'll go into tackle guy and he'll just stop. He'll just put his hands up like he didn't foul the guy and the guy will run right by him.
Interesting.
He did it he had an easy tackle on who the Raiders playing.
It doesn't matter.
But
I don't know.
It was the running back, and he's running, and this guy's got the angle on the running back. And last second just cuts inside him, and the guy gets an extra 6 yards and just goes.
Unbelievable.
And I'm sitting there what are you doing?
Well, apparently my college football video game is more realistic than I thought, because that's what happens when I switch to a guy on a pursuit angle. They just cut their pursuit angle off and stop, and I'm like, wait, what? Come on, man. That's continuity here. Well, anyway, if you can even stomach this offense, okay, the Browns play at Las Vegas. It's the kickoff's 4:25 on CBS. Like I said, if you can stomach watching it, I don't get how they're a 1.5 favorite. We'll see actually tomorrow. The list of available players and who's in and who's out will come out. We'll see if that changes at all, with I'd imagine half the Browns offensive line not available for the game.
Oh, and I wanted to ask you something too.
Yeah.
Dude, what's going on with the kickers this year in football?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know if you watched the Cowboys, but I watched the Cowboys game week 1. I think is it week 1 or week 2? But they were going to let Brandon Aubrey attempt a 71-yard field goal.
Yeah.
And then the special teams coach talked Mike McCarthy out of it and said, no, we're not going to. But then every time you look at all these field goals, that tie the record or come close to it, they're all at the end of a half or the end of a game to win the game.
Yeah.
He kicked a 65-yarder on Sunday against the Ravens, with 6 minutes left in the first quarter.
Man.
If he's able to consistently hit that, and the Cowboys offense can find
that's not a desperation call at that point.
No, like my dad said, you'll get the ball to 35. You need to go 15 yards, and he's in field goal range.
Yeah.
Like,
that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild when you think about it. Just past, Listen, that's Steph Curry range, man.
Or like, even if you get the ball to 25, hey, we just need one big play to get on the opposite side of the 50, and we got a free field goal.
Interesting that both those things are 3 points, by the way.
Right.
Steph Curry throwing it up from 45 feet and a 65-yard field goal. That should be 4 points, right?
Dude, it's I don't know. I just think that how long until we see a kicker hitting a 70-yarder?
It'll happen. And listen, guys are getting bigger and stronger. And maybe the NFL thinks about, like, if you kick the ball from the other side of midfield, maybe that's worth 5 points or 4 points. Maybe that's worth a little bit more in the scheme of things. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll do that. That'd be kind of a fun thing.
And
the purists would hate it. The NFL purists would absolutely hate that, but that's okay.
And I mean, I know me and you've talked about it before, and people are like, well, dude, kickers make 70-yarders all the time in warm-ups. Yeah, that's warm-ups. No pass rush. The ball's stationary. They set it up perfectly how they want it.
Usually it's not even a human holding it at that point. It's a tee. Right.
Yeah. Like, there's no rush. There's no having to catch the ball, spin it, no laces. Like, there's none of that. It's just strictly.
I don't think people understand how little time you really have. And listen, that's why, okay, so this is perfect, because next week on this show or on Come On Ref, I want to talk about snapping in general, but I also want to talk about long snapping. My cousin Nate was a long snapper at Youngstown State. I want to have him on the show because a good snap, a bad snap can make or break a season. I mean, we saw it with Alabama. They had trouble with their center. Everybody blamed the kid. He transfers to Ohio State. People made fun of Ohio State all summer. And now fast forward, we're 3-4 games in, and Alabama's still having trouble snapping the ball. So it's a new center, a new offensive coordinator, a new head coach. The only thing that stayed the same was the quarterback. So we're going to just talk to my cousin Nate. We'll have my cousin Nate on the show for a little while next week. We'll say tomorrow. And we'll talk to him about just all the kinds of things that contribute to, a good or bad snap that fans just don't realize. I mean, I think people would be shocked if they were back. If you could let the average fan go back and kick a field goal in the heat of an NFL or college football game, I think they'd be shocked at how intense and how fast it happens.
I don't think the ball would leave the ground.
No. And I guarantee you, 8 out of 10 people who do this, I don't know why I didn't round down and say 4 out of 5. 80% of the people that try this would probably swing and miss and fall and land on their back trying to kick it in the first place. So please don't criticize kickers. When you can't do the job, please don't do that anymore.
That's why I love this segment. That's why I love the segment on College Game Day where Pat McAfee picks a guy and lets him kick a field goal. That's not even in the game. That's stationary. Kirk Herbstreit's holding the ball. Could you imagine having to kick with a pass rush?
No, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine it. I've never been able to kick a ball well. I don't know why. Kickball, I kicked okay. But I don't think that's the same thing as kicking field goals in college football or the NFL. So I'll refrain from criticizing people who are infinitely better at a job than I'll ever hope to be. I'll just watch and I'll appreciate it. And listen, hopefully.
And then I'll yell at them when they miss.
Yeah, well, I'll try not to. I'm getting old. I yell at clouds and stuff, but you never know. Hopefully you guys could just watch and appreciate our show. Hopefully you don't criticize us too much. But if you do, we want to hear about it. And I was going to tell you the new email for the show. I think it's just sportsshow@gmail.com. Is that what I made it, Ben? Is that what I told you?
I think so.
I wish I remembered. I wish I had that ready for the show. But like I said, it's been a weird week, a weird day. We do have a new show email. So if you are watching and you want to comment on any of this stuff, you can feel free to comment on our YouTube videos on my channel. We have a new channel that's going to be going into effect pretty soon. We'll be streaming there as soon as I can figure out how to. I wish you could just transfer followers over so I don't have to try to, it's hard. Anyway, I don't know. That's housekeeping stuff. You guys don't care about that. That's pretty much the show for this week. Just wanted to thank you for watching. And remember, please wrap up those running backs. We're looking at you, USC. Please tackle.
Yeah.
Ben, you got anything before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right.
Just take
Don't
care.
call him the
Watch
best-
sports.
Yeah. They don't call him the best color man in the league for nothing. I still love that line. Major League, great movie. I'll try to watch it again this weekend. Report back to you. See how the Guardians do in that movie. I bet they win the division. Okay, listen, we're out of here. Thanks for
They
watching.
won the World Series.
I don't know. They didn't finish it. They just won the division. That was it. That's where we had to stop. We had to wait for Major League 2, which was a huge disappointment.
It was.
Whatever. You can't compete with Major League. The first one. It's an amazing movie. It's a classic piece of cinema, I think. It's
Dang, I've been cut already.
I use that, man. Listen, there used to be a great GIF of that, and I could use it, and now it's gone. I can't find it anymore. But that was one of my favorite GIFs. Like, I love that scene so much. Man, what's coming up? We got this is a fun time of year because we'll have the Halloween show where we may or may not be dressed up for the show as one of our kids' favorite characters. Who knows? Or my kids' favorite characters. You are a kid. We talked about that. I'm still a kid. But somehow they let me have kids. It was a mistake on somebody's part. But yeah, we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up, man. We've got all the holidays are coming up. We've got, like I said, Halloween. We always have a good show around Thanksgiving. We kind of sit and reflect on some things. Christmas shows are always fun. I love this time of year for this stuff, man. And so that'll be coming up in the next few months.
Can't wait for that annual Chad Bryant March Madness prediction that ultimately fails in the first round.
Yeah, I'm always going to have a 1 seed getting beat by a 16. That's fine. That happens. Hey, listen, at least I'm still pretty good at predicting the World Series. I can still do that, right? I know one sport, right? Please, listen, hire me. I can talk about baseball all day. I can talk about baseball with my hands tied behind my back. I don't even have to research it. Just hire me. Other sports? No, I got nothing.
Just don't hire him for college baseball or college basketball.
No, don't hire me for college basketball. College football, I'm good. College basketball, forget it. Move on. There's going to be a better candidate. I promise you. Trust me. Okay, that's it. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week on the show. Ben, Steelers will probably be 4-0 next week, right?
Probably.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Browns 1-3.
Browns 1-3. See you.